It's really hard to see the Lions picking at 28. And I think it's because they're going to probably trade up. And if they do trade up, here's the three guys that they could be moving up for. I'm Mike Payton with A to Z Sports Detroit. Today we're going to talk about why the Lions could potentially trade up and who they could be trading up for in the 2025 NFL Draft. First off, the Lions are the most unpredictable team that could possibly be around in the NFL Draft. I think we've seen that over years. You might think, well, why would they trade up? That just doesn't seem like a Brad Holmes thing. Well, they did it last year. They traded up from 29 to 24 to get Terry and Arnold. In 2022, they traded up from 32 to 12 to get Jamison Williams. They've traded up in lower rounds, but trading up in the first is something they've done 2 out of the 4 drafts that they've drafted in, that Brad Holmes has been the GM of this team for. So it's definitely something that they could be looking to do again. And for a while, I've kind of thought that trading down was probably the way that they would go because, hey, you can recoup some more picks. You can, you trade down into the second. Maybe you have 2 seconds. You get an extra third out of it. Maybe you get a fourth. And for a while, that made sense. And then I started thinking about it, more when it comes to the roster that they currently have. This is a really good football team. I know people will freak out about the edges and maybe think that they're not that great or what have you, but this is one of the best rosters in the NFL. And you could either look at it as let's grab a bunch more players and, there'll be some projects and maybe you get one of those guys who could be good, or you could take some of those picks and you could move up and you can get a player that you feel the best about, that you feel can immediately impact this roster even more. And that just seems to make more sense than trading down does. So if the Lions were going to move up, there's 3 players that I've really identified that would be like, these are the top guys you would move up for. None of them are edge rushers because I think that this is such a deep edge rusher class that even if you were to pick one in the second, you're getting a pretty good guy. I think even if you were to pick one in the high 3rd round, you're getting a pretty good player. So the 3 guys are, first off, Alabama linebacker Jahad Campbell. Now, I know you might think, well, the Lions, they've got enough linebackers. Why would they take a linebacker? Why would they trade up for one? Well, Campbell is maybe the best defensive player in this entire draft. Abdul Carter is really good. He's great even, but I think Campbell is the guy that you can do the most with. He could play that Sam linebacker spot, or you can convert him over to an edge. He could do that. He can get to the quarterback, had 8 sacks last year, but he could also be great in coverage, had a couple of broken up passes. This is kind of a do everything guy that can do everything immediately. And I think the Lions would love to have somebody like that on their roster. The next guy is Tyler Booker, also from Alabama. I look at Booker as that's your starting guard right there. You just lost Kevin Zeitler. That's a big loss. That's hard to replace. Do you want to maybe try one of the guards or tackles later? Maybe you get a Gray Zabel at 28 or something like that. Or do you want to go for arguably the best guard in the entire draft? And that's Tyler Booker. And you're going to have to move up a little bit to get him because he's probably going to be gone by 28. I would say that he's definitely going to be gone, actually. And then the third guy is, look, it's a receiver. It's Tet McMillan from Arizona. I know you might be thinking, well, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got Jamison Williams. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Why would they take a receiver? Why would they trade up for one? Well, as Brad Holmes said at the NFL Combine, we are not a needs-based drafting team. This team is all about drafting the best player that they could possibly get. And McMillan is the difference between this is a really great offense to, oh my God, this offense cannot be stopped. It changes that much. What he brings to this Lions team, they don't have. Contested catches, a guy who can muscle corners, body guys, still stretch the field, can do so much, can block. He would just be a huge upgrade over Tim Patrick, who I love Tim Patrick, but this is the chance to have an unbelievable offense with 3 receivers who are just crazy good. Obviously, you have got Sam Laporta and you've got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery too. What an offense. How do you stop that? And that's why I think that there's a possibility that they would maybe trade up for him. Or even if he fell to 28, I could still see that happening. So that is what we think at this point. We'll see what the Lions wind up actually doing, but do not be shocked if they decide to trade up for somebody. We'll see you guys next time.